Hey folks, I know it's been a while. Lately I've been having this spring, I've been having to spend my race car time getting the Miata, the ST5 Miata that I have prepped for the racing season. And it's been a little bit of work, let's just say. So between that and some life things that have been happening, I haven't had a lot of time to spend on the Corvair. But I'm back in the machine shop, continuing the motor balancing project. Today we'll be doing the rods including the rod nuts, which I got from ARP that have a flange on the outside that don't fit into the pocket that's machined into these Audi rods I'm using. So, not a huge deal once I realized I could machine off, if I machined off the flange down to the diameter of the hex, that would fit in just fine. That's the first step in the balancing. Now, realize that I balance each individual piece separately. All the nuts are balanced together. All the rods are balanced to itself. All the pistons are balanced to themselves. So I can put any rod on any piston with any nuts and they'll still be balanced. To me, that's important, so I don't screw something up. If everything was matched and I mismatched something, it would be out of balance. So let's start with cutting down a nut. It's not painful, and we'll go from there. So the first step is some lathe work, and then some grinding, balancing with my new balancing rig. Let's do it. So what do I do to cut them down? On the lathe, I just chuck them into the lathe, and I think I found some shaft that I can use, to, well, actually, let me do it the other way. There we go. I found a shaft that I can chuck into the lathe, simple 3-jaw chuck in the lathe. And I put the nut on the end and make it snug. And then I cut it down. So let me do that on this one so you can see what it is. They're all the same. You don't have to see me do all of them. But I'll do the one. And then we'll go on from there. So when that's done, and actually I don't have I don't have the wrench to take it off. But when that's done, the OD, what I've done is I've made the OD on the little flange part of the nut be the same diameter as the actual widest part of the nut, so that they fit right in. And I know from experience, I've weighed them all, and they all weigh the same. So that's an easy part. And the fun part, it's something I can do on the lathe. It sounded like my carbide tips getting dull. The squeaking sound shouldn't be happening. So that part's done. And the next part is actually to grind off stuff on the rods, and we'll move over to there. Okay, well, a couple days or a few days have passed, life got in the way again. So now I'm going to do some more balancing on the rods. And let me show you what we got here. These are, like I was saying, Audi rods. And you can see how there's sort of like an extension on the big end. Now, this is the big end for those people who very seldom see a connecting rod. Let me show you the difference. Hold on. Here's an old stock Corvair connecting rod, and here's what I use on the race car now. This is from an Audi. They call them VW. They might call them Super V, but I saw the 3 circles on there, or 5 circles, or whatever there are. So it's an Audi rod. And the large end is for the crankshaft. The small end is for the piston pin. And you can see the difference. You look at this, you look at this, and you can see that the Audi rod is longer. Oh, by the way, these have been machined to Corvair size. I mean, they don't come, the Audis aren't the same dimensions as the Corvair. But notice how they're longer. So the custom pistons are designed to use the longer rods. Notice how when you look at the small end, how it's more sturdy. The big end is a little more sturdy. Definitely the rod bolts are bigger. Some people say these are heavy and unnecessary. Well, this is what I have. And it's nice to be stronger, but this is what I have. I've got a couple, 2 or 3 sets of these, so this is what I'm going to use. Would I have gone with tailored stock rods with ARP bolts? If that's all I had, I guess that's what I would use, but this is what I have, and these are bulletproof. So, and what am I going to do? Well, I'll zoom in a sec, but I've got a scale here with a jig to balance them. I'm gonna adjust the weight on the grinder over here. And the key is, like all other balancing of sets, since you can't easily add material, not easily anyway, add material, but you can take material away, the idea is to find the lightest rod and then make them all that weight. And like I was mentioning, I've tried to get these, I'm not going crazy, I'm not going to 0.2 of a gram, but I'd like to get them closer than a 0.5 gram. So I've done the big ends on 4 of them already. I'm going to do the last 2 now. What I'll do is I'll go over like what I do on one of them. I'm not going to bother with the small end, and you do this by, you balance them by grinding. And the technique is I balance the big end, and I'll show you in a sec, on this jig. So I balance what the big end weighs, because the big end is attached to the crankshaft, which rotates. So it's going like this. So the large end is rotational balance, and the small end is attached to the piston, which is going in and out. So that's moving in and out. So there's 2 ways to balance the small end. You can either balance the big end and then balance independently the small end, and get everything in balance. Or like what I think I'm going to do this time is you balance the big end, and then you just put the whole rod on the scale and get the whole rod all the same weight by grinding the small end. Essentially, to my mind, I think this is the same. If anybody's got some opinions or facts on it, let me know, because I've done them both ways. I used to always do it by balancing, by taking them, and doing one end then the other. And then I realized, well, if it's whatever, back and forth movement, you may as well balance the whole thing, because the whole thing's going to be moving back and forth. But I do the big end because that's rotational, and that's real important, and there's more meat there. And then I grind. Oh, by the way, you notice how all the rough, sharp stuff is taken off. Anything that's sharp, and in fact, when I'm done, this will be the corners. Let's see, let me get a little closer. The corners will be rounded. I don't want any sharp sharp cuts, sharp angles if I can do it, because I just feel like for two reasons. One is I don't want any stress risers, and two is I think going through the air and the water, air and the oil, it's probably better if things are rounded. So I will grind this away later. It's not worth going over that, but that's what we got. So this one, in fact, is the number one. So let's do it. Okay, so I'm at the bench, and when I organize things, it's kind of a mess, but I've cleared out the area that I'm going to work on, and I always lay down clean either paper that would be used for masking, or in this case, I just put down paper towels to keep dirt and oil and everything off of these. If I was, or let's just say, when people balance 9,000 RPM motors or 10,000 RPM motors, they don't want any oil from the fingers or any dirt or anything, because 1/10 of a gram is easy to get. You could get 1/10 of a gram of dirt on there pretty easily. But in my case, this is clean enough. And so I've got an electronic scale, and I'm going to turn it on here and press tare to make sure. And what this here is, there's ball bearing supported ends for both the large end and the small end. And if I hook it up and make sure, well, actually, let's back up a bit. Let's take one that's already done and put it on and see what we got. Because we need to make them all the same, and these have been sitting here for a few days. So this is, right now, the big end on number 3 is 407.6. Let's see, is this 407.8, 407.9. See, now what you're seeing here is, or what I'm seeing, 407.8. is the fact that this stuff is so sensitive that you pretty much breathe on it. Yeah, 407.6. That's what I was going for. 407.4, 407.6. Yeah. You just pretty much breathe on it and everything changes. So I find it, I'm not sure how people can balance down to 0.2 of a gram, because just temperature change in the shop, and the temperature is different now than when I did the other ones. Just maybe dust falling on things, you wipe it off, you jiggle things. Notice I have this on a piece of marble just to be more solid and not so much vibration. And obviously the scale goes down to 0.1 of a gram. My old scale used to go down to a gram, because we used to talk about gram scales, because you used to balance to 1 or 2 grams, 2 or 3 grams even. So all of these are within, let's see, 407.4, 407.2. This is 407.3. Now, well, this one is going to be heavy because I have not ground away anything on this. So what I did here, no, see it just dropped to 407.2, and I'm assuming it's because the electronics have warmed up. And see, I'm glad about that because my previous measurement was 407.2, and I was thinking, oh look, how am I going to get this the same if I put them on twice and they're not the same? But after the electronics warm up, I think it's actually the same. So 407.2 to 407, let's just say 407 to 407 and a half is what I'm going for, half a gram. So we take this off, and I'm always very careful when I set things down. And notice that one end is like a pendulum so that there's no binding. And by the way, and I've mentioned this, but you can buy machined aluminum pieces, but I actually got these from Etsy. They're, I forget what they're printed out of, but they're 3D printed. Somebody sells them out of Michigan, 3D printed pieces. And to me, they work just the same, and they're a lot cheaper. So anyway, let's put, and notice, another notice, that since I've already balanced all of the nuts, I don't have any nuts on these. All these are the same length, essentially. All the essentially the studs, I guess you'd call them, the rod studs. So we'll put this on here. And now this is different. Oh, that's better. Okay. The last time I measured this one, it was 424.4, and I thought, oh, now it's different. Well, you have to get those to sit exactly in the same place on the supports, or just a little bit of difference will cause things to twist, and a little bit of binding makes a different weight. So now it's 424.3, and the last time I measured them, there was 424.4. So I'm pretty satisfied that I measured it correctly. When you do this stuff, weigh them over and over and over until you can get a consistent weight, or else you might be setting something incorrectly. So why go through all this hassle if it's going to be wrong? Well, unless you really enjoy doing things over and over again. Yeah, like they say, if it's worth doing over and over. No, that's not it. Anyway, yeah, measure twice and then cut 3 or 4 times till you get it right. That's the way I do it. It's not the right way. I don't know. Anyway, so what we're going to do is take off like 17 grams. 17 grams. It's like I don't know, 17 grams is not much. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to smooth off on the grinder, and we'll switch over to the grinder. I'll smooth off. Let's see, I can take this off carefully. I'll start by smoothing off around here, and then we'll measure it again. Then we'll smooth off around there, and we'll measure it again. So what I'm going to do is I'll switch the camera around. I'll just show you how I just touch the grinder onto these things. I don't want to hit the bolts or the studs. I just want to work. Normally, if the sides were, normally what I would do is just take off on each side here. Let's see. No. Well, let's see. You can look at this one. I don't know if you can see, but there's a bevel here. There's a bevel on this. Let's see. Do it like this. There's a bevel here. There's a bevel here. and then here it's a little bit rounded off. That's what I'm going for on this one. Now these were from a separate set, which I didn't. I'm piecing together stuff that I bought like 30 years ago. So these would have been a balanced set that all looked like this. Only I must have blown up the motor and I didn't have a full set of these. So I'm making a full set of what I have. So let's switch over and I'll just give you a quick closer shot of me starting the grinding, and then I'll go for a wider angle, because what happens is you measure, you grind a little more, you measure, you grind a little more, because remember, you can take stuff off easily. Putting stuff on is not so good. I will not like weld metal back on to grind it off. But you know, if in machine shop work for like regular heavy machinery, that's what would be done if you're balancing. You could add metal by welding on and then machining off, but not for this, not for race car stuff. Anyway, so over to the grinder. So I carefully, that's another thing. Let me shut this off. Another thing is, what some people will do is use a die grinder on the edges. But I found with this, it's a lot more stable to brace it and just take a little bit off on the grinding wheel. It's my own style. It's just what I like to do. I haven't done a lot of sets. I've done maybe 5 or 6 engines over the years. It works. It works. My style works. You can't see it on the camera, but I am putting on my safety glasses. Okay, now I'll be going back and forth to the workbench, so I'm going to get a wider angle and we'll continue. Okay, so let's see what this one is. Start up the scale. Okay. Yeah, I took off 1 gram. Okay, so that gives me an idea. All right, so back and forth now. Grind, weigh, grind, weigh. Of course, I forgot to put my safety glasses on. Always wear your safety glasses. Okay, I just want to show you what I've been doing. I don't know if you can see. I'm doing a bevel on the corners. Now, let me just say that in a pro shop, they probably use a milling machine. So if somebody can say, oh, I never use a grinder, I always use a milling machine. Yeah, my milling machine, I'm not going to use it. It's a hobby mill. But this works. And let's just say this is a 3-car garage machine shop stuff, not a pro race car fabrication shop. All right, it's probably down another half a gram. Yeah, 420. Well, I also want to say is always recheck to make sure your scale goes back to 0. And this gets really hot. It's starting to get really hot. So we're down to 418. We have to go down to 407. Man, you can see why getting this done professionally costs money. It takes time. It takes time. Okay, at this point, I'm going to make a judgment call. Since my safety glasses are fogging up, it's probably safer not to wear safety glasses rather than wear safety glasses that I can't see through. So because there's a guard here on the grinder, I feel pretty safe. So I'm going to leave the safety glasses off. I don't condone this, but right now the humidity is really high. It's probably 90 degrees outside. It's probably not the best conditions to do this. Looks like I'm down to 415. That's not bad. It's coming down. So we'll see what we have now. 412 and a half. Remember, we're going down to round, I'd say 407 and a half. 407.1 to 407.6. And it is getting almost too hot to hold. Ooh, it's a hot rod. Yeah, right. All right, I have to go get some gloves. I can't hold on to this. Stand by. Yeah, some places they'll tell you to wear rubber, the nitrile gloves, so you don't get your oil on the stuff. Well, these are not nitrile gloves, and they're not totally antiseptic, but better these gloves than burning my hands. And notice it's starting to look a little more elegant. It's rounded. I do not want to go any more narrow than the narrowest part here. There's a lot more meat that I can grind off, and that's why it's there for balancing. But it's getting there. It's getting there. .407.6. Let's see. Is that within half a gram? Just a little more. I'll do some smoothing. And then, whew, call it done. Actually, I can do some smoothing on the side. So this one's done, the big end. So you can see this is a tough, not complicated, but nerve-wracking, long process. So till next time, keep in touch.